Conservatives won't tell the truth about the Green New Deal. I'm going to try to get a straight answer from one backed by the billionaires. How do you think I did? The Green New Deal is, it's before Congress. Actually, it's just a resolution that says, we'd kind of like to do this. It would be kind of cool. Basically, convert the nation to renewable energy sources rather than fossil fuels. Build an energy-efficient smart grid, upgrade buildings to become more energy efficient, repair, upgrade the nation's infrastructure, invest in drawing down greenhouse gases, a variety of ways to do that, most having to do with agriculture, actually, and make the U.S. a major exporter, the world's #1 exporter of green technology, producing millions of jobs and lots of revenue for the government, and apparently this is socialism. Elaine Parker is on the line with us. She is the president of Job Creators Network Foundation. JobCreatorsNetwork.com is the website. You can tweet her at JobCreatorsUSA. Elaine, welcome to the program.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Sure. So tell me, what is your objection to this?
Well, when we looked at this new Green Deal, we actually saw it as a green raw deal. This is something that is going to absolutely devastate our economy and our job creators. And,
How?
You talk about increasing...
Well, hang on just a
I'll tell
second.
you.
If I may, I mean, I'm not going to talk over you through the whole thing here, but, when you concatenate things, let's just take them one at a time. You said this is going to devastate our economy and it's going to devastate our job creators. Jobs are created by aggregate demand, as any, first-year econ student can tell you. So the job creators in the United States are the consumers who are buying things, which means basically the bottom 90% of Americans. And you say it's going to devastate our economy. How? How is it that if we hire 1 million people to put solar panels on people's roofs, that's going to devastate our economy? I don't get it.
So this is government-generated demand. And when you look at the current demand we have, it's free market demand. The types of policies that we've seen over the last 2 years, from tax cuts to deregulation. I mean, we have a booming economy, and just for 2018, we grew at 3%. We haven't seen that kind of growth in years. We had anemic growth under the Obama administration.
That's simply not true, Elaine, and you know that. And we had quarters that were over 4% during President Obama's time. But without wandering into these partisan things, I'm still baffled. Dwight Eisenhower really put the economy on steroids by investing in the national highway system. We built roads all across the country. For every dollar that we spent on the national highway system, we've probably made, estimates are all over the map, but at least $60 in additional tax revenue. And some are suggesting over $1,000 in additional tax revenue over the lifetime, in the 50, 60 years since that was built. The same thing with the Hoover Dam, another big, giant, government project. The same thing with the Rural Electrification Administration, the same thing with the Rural Telephony Administration. All of these things none of these things were because some billionaire decided to do them. These were all public works projects. These were all investments that produced a return. You mentioned the tax cuts. We borrowed $1.5 trillion and gave it to the billionaires and the corporations who took $1 trillion of it and used it just for stock buybacks, which is basically just sticking the money in their own pockets. That was a scam. This sounds to me like an investment. I don't get how this hurts the economy. What am I missing here?
Well, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was actually an investment in the American people, and we're seeing it in spades right now. We've seen just in January, 304,000 jobs were created.
No, I get it. The Obama boom is continuing. It's been going on for 10 years. But what does building green technology in America, how does that damage our economy?
Tom, if I may, there's a very clear inflection point when President Trump was elected and the policies of the administration. The most untold story out there is the deregulation that this administration has done, and that as just
Elaine, letting the Koch brothers dump more poison into our air might make more profit for Koch Industries, but I don't see that as a good thing. And these tax cuts, this is the exact same thing that Ronald Reagan did. You give me $1.5 trillion on a credit card that my children are going to have to pay for, and I can show you what it looks like to live large. That's what Donald Trump just did, and you're bragging about that?
Let me tell you who we represent. We represent Main Street small businesses. There's 30 million of them out there, and they employ 60 million people. They are the largest job creators responsible for this economy. They create 2/3 of all new jobs. And our members are telling us what they're doing with their tax cuts. They're not buying yachts. They're not going on vacations. They are increasing their wages. They're paying bonuses.
Elaine, I thought that we were talking about the Green New Deal. And
No,
again, how is it that that if we were to, and part of the Green New Deal is not even stopping the $300 billion a year in subsidies in welfare that we give to Koch Industries and BP and Shell and Halliburton and all these other fossil fuel companies. But if, whether it were or not, I still have not heard from you how having the government even borrow money and spend it into the economy in a way that's going to convert us from a fossil fuel dependent economy to one that's running on nuclear power, basically, the nuclear fusion of the sun, 93 million miles away, why that is going to harm our economy or small businesses. I mean, if suddenly there's demand for, if I can have solar panels on my house, I would, if I was looking to start a business, I'd start a business installing solar panels. Seems to me like a huge amount of opportunity.
Well, I find it amazing that, there are people who are willing to borrow money for this type of investment, but they're not willing to borrow money to invest in our job creators.
You just borrowed $1.5 trillion to give to the billionaires that you're calling job creators. I get that.
So more than 80% of the tax cuts went to middle class. The average family is going to save $3,000 a year in taxes.
Elaine, nobody's buying that, and people are seeing their tax returns. But we're not talking about tax cuts here. We're talking about the Green New Deal.
No, we're talking about an investment in our country. And the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was absolutely an investment in our country. And we're seeing it in spades. And we're seeing tax revenues go up. And we're seeing jobs be created. As a matter of fact, we're seeing wages go up more than they have in over a decade. And the reason for that is because the demand for labor is so high. There are more jobs out there than people to fill them.
As I said, give me $1.5 trillion on my children's credit card, and I'll show you what it looks like to live large. But again, why are you opposed to the Green New Deal?
The cost of the new Green Deal is estimated to cost more than Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and our entire military budget. And so we poll 1,000 people a week, and we ask them if they favor that kind of spending or they oppose it. 69% of them oppose it. They understand that that is not something that is sustainable. But if we have sustained growth through economic prosperity and job creation, that's what this economy needs. We are seeing fantastic economic results.
Yeah, right. Okay, so you don't have a reason why the Green New Deal is going to hurt the economy other than the fact that it's very expensive. You're perfectly happy to borrow a total of about $30 trillion. If you take the Reagan tax cut, the Bush tax cut, and the Trump tax cuts, those three tax cuts have borrowed over $30 trillion and put it on the national credit card. About 22 trillion of it on the national credit card. If I said billion, I meant trillion. And that's fine with you, apparently. Until a Democrat becomes president, then all of a sudden Republicans start screaming about the national debt. But after we came out of World War II, Elaine, let me just make one quick point, and you can respond to it as long as you want. After we came out of World War II, the debt to GDP ratio in the United States was 129%. Our debt was 129% of GDP, highest it's ever been. Right now it's in the neighborhood of 100%. The way that Dwight Eisenhower, the Republican president, got us out of the tail end of the Great Depression after World War II was he borrowed more money to build an interstate highway system. He put us further into debt, and within a decade, that thing had virtually completely paid itself back, and it has been making money for us ever since. Why would solarizing the United States, getting us off an addiction to the fossil fuels that are killing our planet, and going to a cleaner form of energy, not do the same thing? What am I missing here?
What you're missing here is that these are not any new ideas. These are the same failed socialistic policies that we've seen in the past. There's nothing new here.
Okay, so you want to end socialism. So do you want to start by ending the interstate highway system? Do you want to end? Do you want to end Social Security? I mean, if you hate socialism and you think socialism has failed, where do we start? Do we do away with our socialist fire departments?
Tom, what I'm looking at is the results of this economy. We have an economy that's grown at twice the rate.
I get you love the economy,
wages
and that you hate socialism. And Elaine, we have a minute and a half left before we hit a hard break that I have no control over. Where, if you want to de-socialize America, if you want to strip socialism out of the United States, where do you want to start? Do you want to end Social Security?
Tom, that's not the point. We have.
Do you want to end Medicare?
No, Tom.
Do you want to turn our federal highway system into toll roads?
Enterprise system that allows people to grab their piece of the American dream. And if you have a government that comes in and takes over industries like our energy industry, like our transportation system,
that's not part of the Green New Deal.
Absolutely.
That's a complete BS canard that they talk about on Fox News as if it's real, but it's not real. There's nothing in here that says the federal government is taking over our energy system. Nothing.
It says that everyone's going to have a guaranteed job. We're going to have free education for life. We're all going to get a house, and we're all going to get free money whether we're unable or unwilling to work.
Okay, the government is the employer of last resort is what FDR did, and it worked. He put millions of people back to work and got us out of the Great Depression.
It says that everyone will get a guaranteed government job. It says that everyone's going to get free money, even if they're unwilling to work. That should give us great pause. But let me say one thing in our last few seconds. The one thing that I appreciate about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is that she is being completely honest about what she wants to do with this country. And we are happy to have that debate. She is one of the few politicians that is honest with people about where they're taking us, because I believe the American people reject this wholeheartedly.
Okay. Elaine Parker, president of the Job Creators Network Foundation, jobcreatorsnetwork.com. You can tweet her at JobCreatorsUSA. Elaine, thank you for dropping by today.